Hi everybody, welcome to this week's Receiving and Selling webinar. Today's subject is Invoicing Made Easy. Basically it's going to go over order entry and invoicing. My name is Kevin Winston. I'm the senior trainer here at Cougar Mountain. Jeremy is on site this week. That's why you have a strange face for those people that have all been around. So today I'll try to do the best that I can. I haven't done one of these in a while, but bear with me if I pause on anything. But I should be able to answer all your questions out there and get to show you what order entry is all about. If you want to interact today on the virtual hand to ask an audio question, just go ahead and use the instructions you see there on your screen. Type any comments or questions here throughout. What we'll do is we'll hold them when the presentation gets to the end, then we'll go back and answer any questions we possibly can. And hopefully we'll have enough time to show you. If at the end of the series that you got a question, don't be afraid to email. We'll give you an email address you can send it to, or myself at the end of the webinar. The question and answer period will be at the wrap up, and I'll tell you when we're done with the series, and then you can ask any question you want. And don't be afraid to. We'll hopefully answer any of those questions on order entry. So you're looking for invoices to be made easy. Your business can't afford to waste any time for receivables to be paid. Stacking papers and looking for invoices, or making 1,000 copies of invoices so it guarantees not to lose it. That's the thing that we're trying to do here at Cougar Mountain to save you time and money, and also not have so much paperwork to be done. But you need invoicing for having your cash come into your business. That's probably one of the most important things. There shouldn't be any guessing in any involvement that you have, whether or not your client has paid you or not. And Cougar Mountain's invoicing makes that easy. There are many online invoicing programs available, but Cougar is just one of them. And we try to get all the series of making it easy for a salesperson to make an order and to send out the order, whether it be by invoice paper or by maybe a PDF. At the same time, the integration that we have to accounts receivable for the customers, accounts payable for the taxes, and inventory being entered and committed immediately is what the invoicing or order entry is all about. Let's look at the advantages of invoicing. As I mentioned before, you get paid by the invoices. If you're running a digital online business, invoices are easiest and most effective way to get paid. If you want good records, copies of past invoicing, paperless invoicing, and a quick way of getting your information and getting around to look up sales, Cougar Mountain Software could be your choice. You can't afford to sit back and just simply wait to be paid. You want to have some type of record in front of you to actually be able to see what was charged, make sure it was charged right, and to receive your money later on. There's actually 8 ways of trying to track invoices and how to use invoices. Of course, the first one was the easiest. I'd like to get paid for my particular services or products that I sold. But the second way, of course, is record keeping. Inside the record keeping, we have different ways of doing this. We have different transactions. In this particular example here we show here is that during the transactions I can zero in on a quote, a work order, or an invoice. We even have holds there too. And once you see those and using those, then you can go into making up your own reporting system by the tenders or by customers or by invoice numbers. When in an order on the sales screen here, you'll have the opportunity of always dialing that in. Now, it's up to you whether or not you want to default, in my case, to an invoice right off the bat, or you'll be able to use one of the other four that you have here: quotes, holds, work orders. The difference between a hold and a work order we saw in the first example there was that a work order takes a deposit, whereas a hold is just committing the inventory that you have. So what does the sales screen actually do? Well, the sales screen actually, of course, takes care of the product you have with the pricing that you have, any comments that you want to add with it, the abundance of adding freight on automatically if you want, and the comments that you have later on about anything, about the chair itself, the marketing that you might have, or that you've given away discounts. These all can be done automatically for you, or it can be done manually. And that's what we're going to talk about during the session on each one. It also takes track of your history of your customers that you have, so you can look up your history of your customers through their past invoices, the products that they have, when did they order it, and you want to add it on to an order. So that way it's then set up that you can put it right to the sales screen. It's only the product that they bought. Otherwise, going in the unspecified, as we see here, it would open up to your inventory and you put in your inventory number or description for those people that rather have a description of it. You have different choices, different availabilities, in different ways. That's why you try to keep it as easy as possible. It's great for record keeping. In this particular example, if you had a series of invoices that you had not completed yet, you still can look up reports, whether to see if you are a sales manager, see how the invoicing are going, what kind of quotes were taken, what kind of work orders, and of course, what kind of voids are going on. In this particular case, this is a batch that is being seried through. And as you can see here, it's been set up as the batch with the date of the batch, and it's in detail. So what that shows you is that you now have the ability over here to see your invoices, how much money you've already sold for the day, and your grand total so far. So this is like in the POS system, this would be the X key look. If you had to put in order entry, it's just a print edit report that we can open up at any time during the day and look at it. It can also show past invoices that goes on. Basically what it's doing is it's going to clarify what the customer is doing. And you have different ways of doing it. In your layouts, you will be able to choose in your layout the subject matters that you want on your menu board that you have, whether it be on the screen itself or from the invoice paper that you're putting it on. So in this particular example, we can see that base price was asked for, and when we did that, did it allow input or did you want to skip the column? Now, skipping a column means that you're using the keyboard and not a mouse. You're just strictly using the keyboard. And in order entry, if you tell it that, then it knows not to look for a mouse, but just the keyboard and use the shortcuts. In your display screen itself, you get to choose what lines you want to match up either to the plain paper itself or your own particular sheet. In this example here, we get to see that you have a comment that you put down here on the screen, which will now show up on the invoice itself. And that's what you want for it comes to details. So now your services and your inventory can have some type of explanation to it on how you want to use it or how the customer wants to use it. This could be color, sizes, anything that will help you displaying that is the right product for your client. Okay, here is an example of how easy it is as a salesperson is putting in the product that they came in here. And I will show you this on the live one. When we right click, they have the opportunity of just writing their own detailed comment on there that would show up on the paper. If I right-click on the subject matter, you can see I'm not using a left click where I'm looking up sales. I actually have different opportunities. I can put in a blank line or a series of blank lines because I want the separation on the screen as well as on the invoice to be done. If I didn't do this, it would just be a running invoice, and it would not look as professional as putting in the blank lines. Put in a line item. I can come in here now, go back up to these lines, right-click, and I can insert another line in there if I needed to, whether it be a comment or another product. If I right-click, I can also put in discounts if I needed to, or I could go right back into putting my transaction. When I have the lead item or column 1 here used, then I can highlight things that I've already put in, and I can actually see things like I want to put a discount on the item, and I have different ways of doing the discounts. I can also show pictures, viewing the picture. This picture, of course, is not a chair, but it's a nice looking car. Any image that you have, whether it be coming out of your catalog or anything like this, could be attached to a customer's billing, so as the salesperson is putting it in, they can make sure it's the right product. Our fifth area of looking back at the is making sure that you have the right security and the right way of reporting. Cougar makes the making of orders very easy. We have a workflow system going through here. So at any time before the posting, I can print labels if I want, I can print packing slips if I want, picking slips if I want, and I can get all that done. But even if I've posted, could I go back and reprint invoices themselves? Yes, you can. So it's very easy to go back in, even though that something has been posted for the day, but we lost the slip, we don't have it, then we can go back in and find those slips very easily. Of course, there's security on every salesperson that comes in, whether it be a POS system or an order entry system. These people would have it. So in the case of Mark King here, we see that he's eligible to give out refunds or to have special orders being made or voiding transactions. The blanks down here is telling that Mark King does not have the responsibility of that and that he needs somebody else to do it for him. And same goes with the limitations over here. It's not limitations to freeze them from doing their job. It's limitations so when they hit the limit that they have marked here, that they need a second opinion. You don't want to take bad checks if Mark is new or something like this and doesn't understand that taking the bad check and giving merchandise away is not going to make you a rich person. Customer inquiries, same way. If it's an inquiry only, is that the inquiry that's being done here is a read only. Now, other choices are that they don't get to go back and look at orders from the customers or inventory. What they do get, though, is the ability of coming in here, and they could possibly have inquire and edit, where Mark King now is eligible to go back and look and changing things if needed. Also, on the setup is the order entry readable, where if you don't like Cougar's reports, which we are going to go through, is that you can make up your own sorting by what you want to sort with. These are called user-defined fields. A user-defined field makes it easy for someone to put in special numbers like maybe purchase order numbers of the customer, VIN numbers of cars, etc. The other thing is that you want to get paid on time. So when you are making these orders up and everything, that's what the integration does. It makes everything on a time-consuming basis. When you have order entry and you put in your orders, you have negotiated your prices, you have made sure it's the right taxes, then of course you're going to make an integration to the other of Cougar Mountain's modules. Inventory, on the other hand, was when you subtracted off your inventory by selling the product. Immediately, it would deduct it from the inventory. It keeps your inventories up to date as of right now. Whereas accounts payable is used because if there's any taxes, you are entering the bill for the tax commission that you have to pay. So when you post, you now could go out and pay the bill every day if you wanted to, or pay it on a monthly, quarterly, or yearly fashion. Accounts receivable is on, even if it's a cash sale, we'll keep in mind the history of what the accounts receivable does in the way of keeping that history. Now you get to see what your customer owes you, when did they pay, and of course, what did they buy. All three of those would be part of that order entry that's going into the accounts receivable. Let's say a customer that usually puts everything on account comes in and buys a couple things and they pay you cash. Because you put the customer's name on the order entry, when you post it, it would still go over to AR as just history. Of course, all of it goes into the general ledger on the different general ledger accounts that you have. You would have your revenue accounts, your expense accounts, all being taken and being in consideration of the period of time you're in. If you have outside services, like in this particular case our 3D cart or one of your own, you can generate from the website all those exterior files. This is done through Cougar Mountain's Universal Bridge. Now the word universal means other softwares must have the universal bridge so two softwares can talk to each other. We recommend, of course, using 3D carts because that's our e-commerce solution. Down here, I'm showing here where we have the entry screens that I take all my consideration of the print edit report, and I can either print it to the screen itself beside the printer if I want to make sure everything is good, or when I print it, I could actually print it to a fax if I wanted to directly, or even a PDF. So why would I want to do this? Because I'm now paperless. Cougar Mountain as a software is a paperless software. Here's all the reports that we have. The first 5 that you see here are basically the main reports most people are going to be using. They want to know, as a sales manager, how did my sales people do? What departments I'm geared into, I'm doing it, or just simple things like sales by item. How much did we sell in a given period of time? Did we do good in sales, etc.? The next group of reports down here is basically for those clerks that are trying to balance their books. What was the cash receipts for the day? What was the checks for the day? What was the credit card receipts for the day? And then our solution for our credit card is Cayenne. Is that during the day, as people are swiping their sales onto the system, is that they'll have a total amount through Cayenne and tells you exactly what the credit card total is. Now, I can compare that with that print edit report that you have by just looking at the credit card sales. They should match to the penny every day or every time period that you're using. It's basically doing a balancing the register, but at the same time, it's not an order entry. The price variance report for those managers out there, and we were going to see one coming up here soon, is that it tells you when anybody changes the prices. You would be able to see up or down when they change the price that comes up. So instead of having a price up and you're giving 10% off, they just change the price to what they think is a 10% off or whatever it is. You have a report that checks on that. Your sales tax report, if you're not using AVA tax, is that you will be able to see your tax report of how much has gone over, even to accounts payable, where you can check and balance it. You can now see the total amount of your taxes going over on a daily basis and how much you owe by the report. The rest is little sales history reports and invoicing, reprinting from the history mark and stuff, and even tracking down invoices from certain customers. There is, though, the drop 3 down here, which is your back order tracking and back order fulfillment. The difference between here is that if I look at back order fulfillment for the morning as I have my cup of coffee, I'll be able to know exactly what orders I can fulfill today that have been back ordered and we've been waiting for, because you've entered it into your inventory. This can be done on your handhelds out there that you can use. In this particular case, we recommend SendTech as your solution for the internet, and then that way you can use your mobile phones and stuff for your payments or your ordering and stuff. Also, it's great for bosses, like in this case here is looking at a general ledger report inside their screen. There's pros and cons to each one of this and why you want to use your smartphones. And my biggest con is that they're usually too small for my fingers, but there are bigger ones that are coming out here now. But they do post good high security, the pros, and they're faster speed, and there's unlimited access. So now I can take my smartphone out and it becomes my tablet on the outside. Or I can even take my tablet now and turn it into outside and have one of those credit card swipers out there that I can use to take credit card sales if I wanted to. This is good for truckers and stuff like this if you have trucking. The biggest thing about invoicing, it saves time. Saves time by organizing your finances, tracking your sales, your expenses all go to one place. Get reliability recording of reports, especially for taxes, for those fear of taxes everybody has. Complete everyday tasks fast and accurately, where it can be checked by sales managers or owners. Quick access to invoicing, sales history, customer statements, even payrolls if you're being charged customers for labor and or supplies. Just about any type of vital process that you have can be put on an order entry sheet and used in order entry. The need for organizations to grow is one of the reasons you might need this modules. That's one of the good things about Cougar Mountain is that you can buy one module at a time and grow with us if you need to. The expert technical support that involves many problems are all based here in Boise, Idaho, or the United States. So we're here to help, whether it be training or technical support. That's us at Cougar Mountain. Now let's talk about some of the other solutions you have with order entry. First of all, you have reports for sales as well as graphic charts for your reporting itself. So now you can take the information you're gathering on a daily basis, put it in a profit and loss, and actually see your revenues and what it looks like on a graph. This is connected to Cougar Mountain. Also at the same time, you can then dial into one of these graphs and it will break it down. Not another level, but actually 3 levels down, where you can actually see the reports on how it made the graph. Price changing. Biggest fear about invoicing is somebody going in there and changing prices. Well, you can have this done automatically. 2 main ways of it is that you can have different level pricing. We have 5 at Cougar Mountain. Or you can sell things by different ranges, different volume. In this particular case, when you put in here the different level, the customer is the one that's going to tell you what level they're on. So you can have different levels for different style customers. This $34 of a $64 thing could be your employee sales. So when an employee comes up, you put their name in, and they get the same product. It reduces the inventory correct, but at the much smaller total amount. Down here is an example of where they're buying it by the range. In this particular case, they're buying, let's say, 8. Then it goes automatically down here and puts the range here. Instead of the 125, it puts it automatically to the 120. If you use these systems here, management is in control of the pricing, not salespeople. Or you can use it a little bit differently where a salesperson opens up and now knows his range. I've seen that in my history where they look at a range of pricing and they know that if I'm going to go from level 3 to level 4, I need to go in and talk to my boss about it. But they actually get to see the highest to lowest range. So there's different ways you can use this. What we're looking at here now is that price variance report I talked about earlier. And why is this important? Because now you get to see who's changing prices from what the price was that you've established it for to the selling price. In our last slide, we looked at the ability of changing it from $125 to $120. Well, if that was the case for the product, then you can see that it would come up perfectly. It would not have a price variance. Only the ones that somebody had physically changed. In this case here, is the upcharge for it. Here is an example of the 3D cart where I've taken it from the website and then it converts over into Cougar Mountain as an invoice sheet that we've seen earlier. And when I do that, I can do it by customers, I can do it by invoice numbers, but it gives me the orders of what was bought on the web. And of course, you can do this on a daily basis or even a weekly basis. This works very well for the SBA. In this example here, what we're looking at here now is the sales discount that's being given. And so in this particular case, you can see the sales discount came up automatically. It's $229, and now it's only $195 because the customer is the one that's doing the discount. So you can set these up ahead of time early. Okay, that concludes our webinar on invoicing made easy. If you have any questions, please ask them now. Okay, we have a question that says that is at setup issue when looking at history in order entry, you go to make a ticket. It kicks me out of the module. Well, if that's the case, I probably would tell you to call tech support and do exactly what you're trying to do in front of them so they can see why it's kicking you out. There shouldn't be an issue on that at all. So that sounds like an individual. So try our tech support service, please. Yes, that's my car. So I love the question. So the question was, is that your car? Yes, it is. That's my toy. That's why it's called Pop's toy. So next question is, can I make an accounts receivable the default only? Yeah, inside your AR, if you have that as a module, then your accounts receivable is where you split, if you need to government, let's say government, retail, business, employees. You can actually do that in AR, and when the customer comes over, it brings over the AR code. So in the case of the question, can I make just one? Absolutely. All your customers would be just an AR code. Okay. In this particular question that was asked, each one of the customers themselves carries the AR code. So in this particular case, A1 is being used. Now, A1 could be anything. It could be all my customers. It could be a government customer. It could be different styles of customers. But they're the ones that carry it. Because why? When I go down and do, let's say, sales history, I can look at just this group of people. So if you come to class, I explain that. We do AR before we even get into sales, just so we can show these examples of how easy it would be to go back and look at sales reports by the AR code. Now, if I have just one AR code, then life is easy. You could just call them customers as an AR code, and that's all you need for it. You don't need to have multiples. It's just for reporting purposes. Sometimes when we try to add an item above the line, it adds it somewhere else down the page. Well, in that particular case, if I come in here and I hit this, see, and I right click, as you can see, those are my choices. But if I come up to the second gray line here, and I say, hey, I want to insert an item line, then what it does is that you can see, because this was part of the inventory item, it opened it up here below the freight. So even though I wanted it here, because freight is part of that order that you had, it puts it right below it. Now, could I delete that row and try again elsewhere and maybe try it here and insert here? Yeah, you can keep doing that until you finally get it to where you want it. And it's real easy to delete lines because you're trying to get it in there, but it makes it simple. Now, I'm going to go up to this freight line, and I'll insert a item line. And again, remember, this was attached to this product, so it goes down to the first one that I have that I can put in there and now put in anything I want. Can I delete this row and put in a product and stuff? Absolutely. Then insert the freight later. So remember, it's where you place it onto your system and when you ask to insert things is how it works. So again, if I do that, see, I put it above here because it's trying to put it without having the whole section of all those comments. So the easy way is to go up to the first line like I did here, and then now just add in an item that I want, and it'll show up perfectly for me. Now as I tab across, it now added my extra comments to that particular product, and that's ready to go down. I can either start here unspecified again, or I just can add another line up on the top. For miscellaneous sales codes, when we enter a quantity in as a quote or on the order confirmation, it shows up as shipped. Well, and I'll tell you one of the reasons, if I change this, and I can't change because I already tendered it, but if I changed it, I can go up to the shipping here and make yourself a shipping via where it's actually no shipping yet or quoted shipping, and just leave it there and don't have any type of dollar amount set to it. There doesn't seem to be a way to show it on the back order. So I would have to look at that and find out why that's not working. George Schaefer, how you doing? Has a customer order guide been eliminated in Denali? No, it's in the same place, George. When I go out here, let's see if I can find it on this particular computer. When you go in here and you hit Denali by Cougar Mountain, you have a Denali documentation, and of course the Denali guide is all the modules, and that's under one Denali user guide. Now again, if you have other questions, you can either send it to me or you can email it to the Cougar Mountain itself. We do have sales at cougarmountain.com. We'd be more than happy to take it. There's an 800 number to the customer support, and we're more than happy to fulfill your answers. We do have solutions. We just want to make sure that we know the problem, and then we'll try to correct it for you. Thanks very much for coming to the webinar, and we'll have this recording of this particular webinar out probably Friday. So thanks again, and hope you guys have a great week.